An absolutely fascinating debate broke out when Arsenal and Bayern Munich played each other and Gabriel picked up the ball in the box and no penalty was awarded. This split the football world pretty much right in half. So what we're going to do is listen to 3 pundits and their opinions as to why the referee did the right thing, and then 3 who think this should have been a penalty and it's an absolute howler by the referee. Welcome to Campfire Football. I'm Sebastian North. Let's get into this. Okay, so first we just have to go through a few of the facts of the situation. Bayern Munich have a counterattack. Leroy Sané plays in Serge Gnabry, who takes a shot off frame. Arsenal have a goal kick. Now play stops because there are a few substitutions for both teams. Once everyone is on, the referee signals for play to resume and clearly blows his whistle. David Raya passes the ball with his feet to Gabriel, who just bends down and picks it up. The few Bayern Munich players that do notice this do approach the referee, and Thomas Tuchel on the sideline is looking furious, pointing at his hand.
He did a huge mistake in not giving a hand penalty. I know it's a crazy situation, but they put the ball down, he whistles, he gives the ball free, and the defender takes the ball in his hand. What makes us really angry is the explanation on the field. He told our players that it's a kid's mistake and he will not give a penalty like this in a quarterfinal. This is a horrible explanation because that means he's judging our handballs.
So this decision puts people into totally different camps. There's a crowd who feel that Nyberg was absolutely wise and did the right thing here, and then others who are like, no, he missed a call. It should have been a penalty. So here's the camp who feel this was the right decision, starting with Craig Burley.
I think Gabriel thought they were resetting the play. Gabriel was under no pressure. It's not like he panicked and put his hand on the ball because he saw pressure coming in. He did not. He thought he was taking the goal kick. They were resetting it.
All right, so he's making the argument they were just resetting the play, and because there's no pressure from Bayern players, there's no advantage gained, so it's a non-issue, move on. On to another one. Here is Luis Garcia with his opinion.
When you are on a game and there's a lot of things happening, there can be misunderstandings, and I think that's what happened. I think it was a mistake from the defender, but it wasn't a mistake that you can punish.
Now he's saying it's a misunderstanding between the players, whereas Craig was just saying they were resetting things and it doesn't matter. He's saying that there was actually a misunderstanding and a mistake, but he also feels that you cannot punish something as small as this. So here's Gab Marcotti giving his opinion, and first he takes some shots at Tuchel.
I think it's kind of sad and pathetic that Thomas Tuchel made such a big deal of this out of the game. We have laws of the game essentially for 2 reasons: to protect the safety of the players and to make sure nobody gets an unfair advantage. This is not an issue of safety. This was not an issue of anybody getting an unfair advantage. We also have a basic concept called proportionality. If he whistles for that, all he can do is give a penalty. He can't book Gabriel. He can't give them one of those silly indirect free kicks inside the box from which nobody ever scores. He has to go and give a penalty.
So he's making the advantage argument again, that since there wasn't one, why would you go and make this call? Now, he also talks about the proportionality because basically the ref would have no other option under the law to give some kind of free kick or warning. It's either penalty or let it go.
And I'm all for the letter of the law, but I also want I want referees who can manage games, use common sense, and understand the spirit of the laws of the game. We want to talk about professionals, we want to talk about business, we want to talk about sports entertainment. Do you want a game decided by something like this?
Yeah, so it's big spectacle, this is a huge deal. Do you really want such a tiny, crazy technicality, draconian way of looking at the rules to decide a match this big? Now on to the penalty camp, starting with Stevie Nicol.
So because Gabriel isn't concentrating and doesn't realise that his goalkeeper's taking it and he picks it up, then you get to go again. I don't care about all this grey area advantage. Nobody gets an advantage or nobody's hurt. When the ball's rolling, the ball's in play and you pick it up, it's handball. It's a penalty kick. It's called professional football. Professional.
There's rules. They're clear. Gabriel wasn't tuned in, made a mental error, and so he should be punished for it because those are the rules. This is professional football, so you apply the laws. Here is Neda Manua talking a little bit more about the nuance of the situation.
I think it's one of the most ridiculous bits of play I've seen, and I think the initial mistake, in my opinion, is from Raya, because we've seen goalkeepers have this set up before for a goal kick, and they usually roll the ball to a player or throw it to them so that the player can then initiate the goal kick by putting the ball down and then playing it to the goalie. So I think Raya's made that initial mistake, and Gabriel's obviously sleeping because he thinks Raya must have rolled it to him, which is why he's gone with his hand himself.
I think it's funny, he calls this one of the most ridiculous bits of play he's seen. So Nadim then goes on to basically say, look, it looks weird because it's the professional level. This kind of thing shouldn't happen.
This is a mistake that those guys have made, and yes, it might seem like a really weird way to score a goal, but it's a really weird way because we're watching some of the highest standard of football in Europe and around the world. Trust me, I guarantee that they will not do that mistake again because they know how big that moment was and how they got away with it.
All right, now let's move on to Jan Arga Fjortov.
For me, this was a Muppet show. I mean, how can you whistle, you let loose the ball, and then you take it up in the hand, and then you find some rule afterwards saying that there was not a penalty? It's not possible that this cannot be a penalty.
Basically, the referee has decided he's taking the laws and the rules into his own hands, and he's changing it.
If that happened when I had my son playing when he was 9, we would be furious. Not only Thomas Tuchel. This is just a joke.
I coach kids, and I can guarantee you, even at 9-year-old football, this would be a big debate. Basically, this comes down to a moral question of how we want the game officiated, because everyone's starting to feel like the game is being overly litigated. It's part of the reason why there is such a debate about even the existence of VAR. And here was a rare situation where a referee just said, no, I don't care. This is done. We are just going to move on and play. And it really brings up the question on where is the line between what should be just interpretation and what just needs to be called because it's the rules. So that's why I just think this is so interesting. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for stopping by. This is Campfire Football. Take it easy.